What's up, everybody? You're very welcome along to tonight's late night agenda. And you know what? As is always the case, you think you've got a quiet day, you think there's not much happening, and then boom, an hour before we go live, Jack, news starts to break around a certain Swiss international attacking player.
Yeah, it seems like another bit of a masterclass from Michael Edwards, doesn't it? Obviously, the original bid from Lyon was 4 million, but we've somehow managed to boost them to more than double that. So, yeah, there's no hard feelings from Shaqiri. I can completely understand why he wanted to leave. I think we've got a decent amount of money back for him, and he's given us some great moments. Obviously, he was on the pitch for Barcelona against Everton, where he performed really well as well, and also Manchester United. So, yeah, fair play to him. Obviously, a Champions League winner, a Premier League winner with us. He's won everything that was worth winning in football with Liverpool Football Club, and now all the best to him at Lyon.
Yeah, I mean, it took a big pair of balls from Michael Edwards to get that deal over the line. And speaking of big balls, Jack, speaking of big balls, I just happen to have a little ad read to do here, ladies and gentlemen, that works rather nicely around that. This stream and all late night agendas are brought to you with thanks to our friends at manscaped.com. The Performance Package 4.0 by Manscaped has arrived, and oh my God, is it worth the wait? This is not something I'm being scripted to read. This is just me going off the cuff. Inside the package, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all of your goodies. What's that you say? Hang on, Jack. Not just that, their 4th generation trimmer features cutting-edge ceramic blade technology to reduce grooming accidents to their advanced 4.0 7,000 RPM motor and 4,000K LED lights. Not just that, Jack. If you're in the bath, throw it in the bath, mate, because it's waterproof. It's waterproof, Jack. God damn it. It's waterproof.
It just gets better and better, doesn't it? And, mate, I'm telling you now, I saw the advert earlier, and I like the slogan too. You know, your balls will thank you later.
Absolutely, they will. Wet or dry, they'll thank you later. And if your balls want to get 20% off, get over to manscaped.com and use our code WFM20, as Poofy says now.
If you want your balls looking like Craig's shiny forehead, then yeah, you need Manscaped, don't you?
Yeah, freshly shaven, freshly manscaped, ready for the show. Look, folks, we've got loads to get through. And look, I want to pull up a few of the journalist stuff, Jack, to start off with. And I'm going to go in order. First one out of the blocks to me that I've seen anyway was Paul Joyce. And he said Lyon have agreed a fee of £9.5 million with Liverpool for Shaqiri. Initial bid was around £4 million. Next came a bit of bad news, unfortunately. I mean, I was hyped up. I was ready to go thinking, right, that's one out. Squad plays freed up. But then our good friend from The Athletic, who we spoke to the other day, Mr. James Pearce, came and said, not expecting Shaqiri to be replaced in this window, given the rise of Harvey Elliott. Fellow teenager Cade Gordon also penciled in for game time in the domestic cups following his impact in pre-season. Now, look, Jack, where do we go with this? Good bit of business by the club. I think we'll agree on that. But I already thought I thought that we were looking at Elliott as the Genie replacement. I didn't realise that he would all of a sudden become the Shaqiri replacement as well.
Oh, clearly this 18-year-old is so good that he can be the replacement of both Genie and Shaqiri. Obviously, we knew this already, Craig, because James Pearce told us both the other day that Liverpool weren't planning on replacing Shaqiri, and that a signing would only come if Origi or Ox are to leave as well, which I don't expect either of them to leave. I was hoping Origi would leave, but it doesn't seem that way. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I've said quite openly, I think we need at least one signing before the end of the window. Shaqiri going leaves us short of another option. But yeah, it really is interesting, mate, because I do want to see Harvey Elliott getting more game time. But I'm worried that we're putting a lot of pressure on an 18-year-old shoulders.
Yeah, look, none of us doubt the guy's ability, but I found it interesting to see James Pearce bring Cade Gordon into the conversation, because I think we're all in agreement that Cade Gordon is at least 1 year away from first team ready, if not maybe a little bit longer. So, yes, we have high hopes for him, but I wouldn't accept that as a fan as an excuse for us not acting in this window, because whatever we think about, I can see the understanding of Shaqiri going out and Elliott taking his place, but Elliot will probably get more game time than Shaqiri got, and we still are short of body. So I think this is brinksmanship. I'm going to say that we're going to get somebody in. I'm just going to say it. I think we're getting somebody in. I don't know who. Don't pin me for who because I haven't got a clue. It's just guesswork. But I've got a feeling we might see a little bit of business.
Well, Pierce told us, didn't he, that the sign was that Origi wanted to stay, and obviously the club aren't going to force Origi out, especially when it doesn't seem like anyone's interested. But I wonder if moves like what happened at the weekend, where of course he was left out of the squad, is a kind of way of Liverpool going, if you want to go, mate, go, because you're not really needed here. Because, yeah, I'm sure, I personally would hope we bring someone in. I know we still have 17 non-homegrown players now, but obviously one of those is Loris Karius, who is a model now and not a footballer. So I'm sure he'll be gone soon. But yeah, it's for me, it doesn't sit right that we're putting faith in Cade Gordon and Harvey Elliott to replace Shaqiri and Gini, because we know how important Gini was under Jurgen Klopp. And Shaqiri didn't have much of a squad role, but he had more than you'd like Cade Gordon at 16 years old to have, and he was a player that was trusted to go off the bench and try and change games at times last season. So yeah, for me, I think Cade Gordon, I'd agree with you, mate. He's not quite first team ready yet. I see good things from him, but he's still only 16, and we know the potential of Harvey Elliott, and he's had to wait till now to get his opportunity and as much game time as he's getting. So yeah, for me, is Cade Gordon ready just yet? Probably not, and I would like to see one more player at least come in the rest of the window.
Yeah, look, it's good and it's bad because it's a difficult conversation to have because we have high hopes and high expectations and high belief in these kids. Elliot is no longer a kid now. Elliot is a first teamer. I think we're all nailed on that one. He's going to be there or thereabouts the entire season, sniffing around, getting enough game time, and then next season probably explode onto the scene. So we're all in agreement that Harvey Elliott has shown enough to justify his place in that squad and taking a place on the bench or taking a place in the starting 11. But Divock Origi, Loris Karius, as you said, he'll go. We'll get him out the door, whether it's a freebie, whatever. But the interesting one is Origi, because I don't understand the mentality of it from his perspective if he is to stay. Now, interestingly, after we did the games and stuff yesterday, I had a bit of free time. So I sat back and watched something I'd recorded in LFC TV, which was Pep Lijnders and Jurgen Klopp watching back over the Champions League final. And it was just interesting to hear them speaking about what they'd instructed Divock to do, or excuse me, not the final, the semi-final against Barcelona. It was interesting to watch it back and see what they had said that they'd instructed Divock to do, and that he carried it out to a T, and they were fulsome in the praise of Divock Origi's performance. And you can understand why, because he had a great game, but then at the same time, he hasn't got a sniff in really this season. And I can how do I say this? I can understand all the boxes being ticked, some I don't like the phrase dead wood, but some unused players being moved on. But surely we have to have learned the lesson from not replacing players in areas because we think we may be covered. We have to always look worst case scenario. Midfield looks stacked, but one or two injuries, and all of a sudden then with 2 games a week, it ain't so stacked anymore.
You think Knobs would learn from last year? It cost us a league title what happened last year with the shortages at the back when we didn't replace Dejan Lovren because, we thought we had enough within our youth ranks with, Cometio having a good pre-season and stuff like that, but clearly not. And, for me, whilst things look positive at the moment, we know how quickly things can change. And, as I said before, we saw last season how quickly things can change. We're in such a good position, and then we have so many injuries, and we're left in the position that we ended up. And I worry that a similar thing may happen again. And, last season you hope is an anomaly. Usually you don't get as many injuries as that, but with the amount of fixtures in the modern football, you just can't really risk it and believe in, your squad weak in certain areas in terms of depth-wise, because you're being a bit tight with your money, and it has to be said that probably is the case. But yeah, do I think we have a squad good enough to compete this season? Yes, absolutely. As long as we don't have too many injuries, and for me, that's a risk, because you just never know what's going to happen. And for me, it's an easy fix, because we only need one or two incomings, and then we're really, really, really strong. So, yeah, I don't get it personally, Craig.
It is an odd one, because look at the business that we've done, and I cannot argue with anyone that's been sold or loaned out. I think every one of those decisions is absolutely spot on. But naively, perhaps, as fans, we think, well, then once we free up that wage and we free up that money, that, we've signed Ibrahim Konate, all in agreement, very good signing, delighted he's at the club. But then, wasn't the point, weren't we always told, or at least bluffed in the media, that, 2 at a push, but surely we can't end this window without adding at least another one before the window shuts on the 31st, particularly now with another overseas squad place freed up, which means we may not have that scramble that I think a few of us had feared of for a potential Jared Bowen. And last couple of days, we've no hope, we've no overseas place left. Let's go and overspend on Jared Bowen. Now we can look to Europe. We can look to the continent for maybe a Jeremy Doku, a Husamoa, or somebody else. Now, I am spitballing here, mate. We know nothing concrete, but I just don't see the point of doing all the great work that they have, tying down the players to new deals, and we've still got a couple we need to get sorted. Hendo should be soon enough, and hopefully Salah not too long after. But I don't see the point of being as patient as we have, doing everything in the window correctly that they have done, if we don't then follow it up with a late piece of business. And it could be the case that there is something. They could be about to launch an attack on the likes of a Barcelona or somebody who's in a bit of financial peril. And the longer you don't blink, as we said about balls at the start of the stream, the easier these deals become. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I would be lying if I said to you that I'm not extremely nervous that come August 31st, we'll be sitting here with our head in our hands going, what could have been? Yes, we're in a good position. Yes, we're confident going into the league. Believe in the squad. Great to have them back. 6 points out of 6. Super. But there is still a possibility to make it even better. And while that exists, I think we need to be looking at it.
Yeah, I'm just worried that, a bit of naivety will cost us time and time again, Craig. And, we've seen the one summer that Klopp was properly trusted and properly backed, and investment was given to Jurgen Klopp, was the summer that we, was the season after we went on to win the league. But he was only backed because of that huge sum we got for Philippe Coutinho. So, yeah, it is a worry. And listen, I'm a positive person. I really like the look of this Liverpool squad. Our first 11 is one of the best in Europe, if not the best, in my opinion, if you don't count PSG. But yeah,
nobody does. I think, nobody does, mate. Not a real football club. Nobody does. It's all right.
But yeah, I just worry that we're in real danger of falling behind, not necessarily this coming season, but in years to come, because of the lack of investment that we get. And, we're literally sat there watching rivals of ours spend hundreds of millions of pounds on players. And we as Liverpool fans aren't asking for that. We're just asking for some investment. And I do feel like it would be a wasted opportunity if we don't bring in at least one player before the end of the window. We know what is coming for the rest of the season. We know that there's going to be at least 2 games where we're losing Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah to the African Cup of Nations. Do we have enough depth up front for that? I don't think so personally. And yes, the fixtures have kind of fortuned us a tiny bit with that, and I think our fixtures during the African Cup of Nations are relatively nice. However, it's still a big risk, and yeah, it just seems like a really simple fix, and I can't get my head around why we take this risk time and time again.
Settle yourselves in, folks. This is going to be at least an hour, because there's a lot to get through tonight, because we have Ronaldo stuff that's been breaking all day as well that I want to touch on, and a few other bits and pieces. So settle in. Any questions that you guys have, please do put them into the chat. Now, my point, Jack, is I was on That's Football with Mark earlier on, and we were talking about Arsenal's business. And I said to him, can you imagine that Jurgen Klopp was handed the amount of money this summer that has been handed to Mikel Arteta to move Arsenal sideways, I think, basically. there's no way that money would have been wasted. Now, how can we not have any money? We know Arsenal pay high wages, by the way. We know the contract Aubameyang signed is pretty damn hefty. We know that they have money on top, or some players on top wages. They have no European football income to look forward to this season. They may not have any next season. Who knows? So, yeah, it just feels a little bit like some clubs have made signings you question. Lukaku, we've seen today. He's ready. He's going to come in. He's going to do damage. He's going to score goals. And we'll talk about next week as well. But that was a signing. Grealish, the price was the price because of the circumstances, I think, on that one. United have made their signings, and we, again, I don't know, man. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because I really do believe that we'll get somebody over the line. Whether it's a midfield or whether it's an attacking player remains to be seen. And you know what? I'll be honest, Jack, I keep flip-flopping between the two, in which I think is more of a necessity, because I play the game in my own head of, well, what if we can keep these players fit? Then all of a sudden midfield does look stacked. But then another part of my brain goes, yeah, Craig, but Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Thiago, Naby Keita, Jordan Henderson, probably some injury is going to pop along where there's 4 or 5 games in a row to be missed there through thigh strains or muscle strains. So, yeah, I do hope we get somebody in. At this point, I'm almost saying, right, let's get an attacking midfielder in. Not even that it fits in our system, just that it can cover the 2 areas. I'm trying to placate myself here as well as being calm, because I want to be calm, but inside I'm getting nervous and more nervous as the days go by and the window end approaches.
Yeah, like you say, it's difficult for us to comment on it because we have no idea what's going to happen between now and the end of the window, but all signs are pointing to the fact that Klopp is happy with his squad, and if he is, then that's absolutely fair enough.
But is he? Do you think he is? I call bullshit on that, and not from you, from him. As much as we love him, I think he's trying to keep morale up. He's doing the right thing, but I just don't believe it.
I was just about to say, I was going to say if he is, because for me, we know Klopp wasn't happy with the injury problems last season. We know he moans about the schedule in England. We know his little digs before the start of the season at Chelsea, Man City, PSG, and the money that they can spend, and the fact that we simply can't do that. And that suggests to me that that's a man that's kind of frustrated at the situation. And I would be too if I was him. You're the best manager in the world, and you're not getting backed enough. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that if Klopp was backed, like you said, Mikel Arteta is, or any manager in the top 6 other than us, he would deliver year on year on year. And like I said, this lack of investment hasn't just been this summer. It was the same after we won the Champions League. John Henry went on Sky Sports and gave an exclusive saying that we were going to continue to back Jurgen Klopp. And then, our best sign that summer was Sepp Vandenberg for 4.5 million, I believe it was. Like I say, it's not because we're continually doing these contracts that we've done this year. It's not in this year or next year that it's going to hurt us. It's going to be in the years to come. That's going to be when we start falling behind, and that's where my worry lies. And when you think as well, in those years, that'll be when Jurgen Klopp moves on too. It worries me, Craig. It really does.
There's a really good comment here, and sorry, I was reading it just to make sure. You seem to be playing devil's advocate with your mind, Craig, if we don't sign anyone before the window closes. Yes, I am, because I don't want to be the ranting, angry fan channel. I want to be realistic, and I want to look at it from both perspectives. And I've always tried to understand the financial aspect of it, and that the club brings in a certain amount and spends a certain amount. But when I see a summer where we've ticked all the boxes that we'd hoped to do with outgoings pretty much, and again, Edwards has gotten some decent money for players, I can't justify in my head us not going out and strengthening in a window where Bissouma's still sitting around, Saul's still sitting around, Goncalves is still sitting around, Renato Sanchez, fair enough, he's injured, Houssam Aouar still sitting around, Jeremy Doku still sitting around. There are all these options out there that could be gotten, and now there is no reason to not take an overseas place or spend 20 to 30 million quid. So I am playing devil's advocate because I don't want to berate the owners and Michael Edwards and spread any more negativity around our club at a time when we don't know. So we're being honest here and saying, right, we know now who's gone out, but me and Jack genuinely do not know if or who will come through the door before the deadline. So that's why I'm trying to play devil's advocate. Hope that makes some type of sense. Does in my head anyway. Arteta out. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting situation in terms of bringing people in. Like you say, that there's not much to be negative about at the moment with our first two performances of the season, but things can change quickly, and we're playing a very strong Chelsea side next week who have had a lot of backing from Mr. Rom Abramovich. As you said, they looked very good today, very good. Everything's clicking. The one thing they were missing was Romelu Lukaku, and they've gone out this summer, and Abramovich has backed his manager after they won the Champions League last year. That's not enough for them. They want more, and as much as I don't agree with that way of going about doing things, as I say, if we even had half of that investment from FSG, I'd be happy, and I think Klopp would deliver year on year on year on year. And I'm kind of worried about next week, but also I'm quietly confident because I think there's one defender in the world that I can guarantee will be able to deal with Romelu Lukaku, and that is Virgil van Dijk. And I don't care if he's got a dodgy knee. I think even with a dodgy knee, he'll be able to cope with him.
Yeah, look, we'll build up during the week to that game as we go along. And look, it is our first real test of the season. Obviously, you never take any games for granted in the Premier League, but we are 6 out of 6. We have got 2 clean sheets. And we are coming up against the European champions who are in fine form, and it's a mouth-watering game. 5:30 kick. It just has everything going for it. I'm buzzing and a little bit nervous at the same time. But I want to switch it up a little bit, folks, and we're going to come back to talk about more Liverpool stuff. But Cristiano Ronaldo had been asked to be not included in the starting 11 for his game because there's been talk that maybe Cristiano Ronaldo is looking for a move away from Juventus before the window closes. Now, looking into this, Jack, I think I read that it would cost 28 million to buy out Cristiano Ronaldo's 1 year of his contract that he has remaining there at Juventus. There was a link, and I know on the face of it, this sounds utterly ridiculous. There was a link to Spurs. Now, you look at that and you go, nonsense of the highest order. But the link, I can only imagine, is there because of George Mendes and the fact that he represents both Nuno and he represents Cristiano Ronaldo. That's the only way I can make common sense of that in my head. But what got me thinking was, if we are to say, okay, Ronaldo's looking for a move, where the fuck is he looking to move to? Because he's put out his little bit saying, I've had my time at Real Madrid. And surely to God, PSG haven't got the balls to play that game and go, let's bring Ronaldo in as well. And that leaves only one club in my mind in the world that can afford to buy him outside of United. And Goldbridge doesn't have a sniff for Ronaldo. And if they'd had a hint about it, he'd have been talking about it. So that only leaves the possibility of City or Ronaldo going off to some Mickey Mouse league on ridiculous wages. I'm baffled, genuinely baffled.
Well, with obviously Messi going to PSG, you'd expect him to want to stay in Europe, don't you? Because if Messi delivers a Champions League to PSG, Ronaldo will then be under pressure, won't he? Because, the only argument people have had against Messi before is that he'd only done it in one league and with one team. So, I think with Ronaldo, it's very interesting. I think I wonder if Juve are regretting bringing him in because, they put him in to win the Champions League. They've not done that. Obviously, they lost the Serie A for the first time in 10 years, I believe. Was it to Inter Milan last season? It's interesting where his future lies. And like you say, I don't think Manchester United can afford to bring him in. They've already spent quite big this summer. Manchester City.
What do you think of this from Connor here on the screen?
It's something that I spoke about with my brother earlier on, but it doesn't strike me as a Bayern sort of deal. That it really doesn't strike me as a Bundesliga deal bringing in Ronaldo. It makes sense because Germany is a place he's not done it. You can't see him going PSG. I don't care if they get rid of Mbappe or not. I don't think it would work him in the same team as Messi. Manchester City, I'm not sure whether their fans would welcome him with open arms. I know I've seen on Twitter Stephen McKinney or Esteem Company, as you lot might know him, who's obviously a friend of ours, Craig. He's openly said that he wouldn't want him. Spurs would make sense if they are getting rid of Harry Kane. Something to maybe put a smile on the faces of their fans, and obviously if they've got all that money for Kane, they could then afford it. And if you say Nuno Mendes, or George Mendes replacing both of them, George Mendes representing both of them. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens there. But personally, I can't see him getting his move. Is he after more money? Who knows? Who knows, Greg?
What about this one? If I said no more signings for the rest of the window, but we do a deal with Wolves to swap Origi for Dama, would you do it? I'm going to say one, Wolves wouldn't do the deal as a swap, and two, no, I wouldn't. I would rather hang off, because I'd be with Klopp on the camp of it has to be the right signing, not just a signing, and I don't think Dama is the right signing for me.
Juice up Origi and you get Adama Traore and put that lube on him as well, and there you go, happy days. That's the same player. It's just a juiced up Divock Origi for me. So no, I wouldn't. Just get Origi on the Bayern diet, and then it's fine.
The Bayern diet, I love that. Yeah, Goretzka, what a man. I mean, Jesus. And I don't know, maybe for Torres. Maybe Fernando Torres was trading with Goretzka as well, because he's juiced up a little bit and beefed up a bit, hasn't he? Oh my God. It's just genuinely intriguing, because I'm looking around world football and people say Ronaldo to China. Well, don't they have that 100% tax and stuff over there, and for foreign players coming over? People saying to the MLS, to my understanding, and look, I'm not going to sit here and claim to have a full understanding of the MLS, but they are allowed some, I don't know if they call them marquee players or franchise players that are above their salary cap, but I think even at that, it has to be realistic. And I know there's already talks taking place between Lionel Messi and Beckham, apparently, about him going to Inter Miami, and that's been something I've been saying to you guys for a year or so now. Ronaldo to #United, yeah, maybe that could happen if Spencer opens up his L pockets there and spends a few bob potentially. But now, realistically, I was a bit taken aback by it, Jack. I can't see where he goes. I can't see who can afford him. I can't see who he benefits enough. I mean, yes, it's Cristiano Ronaldo, but he didn't do the thing that he was brought to Juventus to do. So, they lost the league title last year. They didn't do well in the Champions League. And while Ronaldo, I guess, can only do so much, and nobody can question the man's greatness, I still stand by what I say. Father Time waits for no man. Whether you're Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, your ability to influence games wanes, and you need to surround yourself with the best of the best to stay at that level. And I don't see a club with the best of the best available for Ronaldo.
Put it bluntly, he's failed. For the first time in his career, probably, Cristiano Ronaldo has failed to deliver. It's as simple as that. And, his numbers since he's gone to Italy have been significantly lower than they were at Real Madrid. He's looked like a player that's aging. And everyone often talks about, he's not blessed with the natural ability that Lionel Messi's got. Obviously, he's had to work for his, and therefore his body is likely to tire, and you are likely to see the effects of him aging more than Lionel Messi. And, for me, as I say, he struggled in Italy. Does that suggest that he was struggling in the Premier League? And is someone willing to pay that much for someone of his age? It's a really, really interesting conversation, I think. But for me, it may just be as well that Cristiano Ronaldo sat there watching all the best players in Europe be spoken about this summer and linked with moves away, and his name's been absolutely nowhere. So he's probably just thinking, shit, I need to be relevant again. So he's putting his name out there.
To be fair, he's always got to be relevant, isn't he? I mean, it's Cristiano Ronaldo we're talking about here. He's been at Sporting Lisbon, Manchester United, Real Madrid, Juventus. His record, his goal speaks for itself. But if I'm looking to spend a lot of money this year and throw in wages, I'm looking at the Haalands, the Mbappes of this world, the next generation, the next superstars. So yeah, it's very. I was waiting for this. Hang on. Love you, Jack, but Ronaldo haven't failed signing him. The team got worse when they signed him. He personally didn't fail. The club did.
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, again, it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be a nuanced conversation.
I think it's a bit of both. I agree that the team got worse when they signed him. Obviously, they've had loads of issues with manager after manager in the last few years. they've not quite managed to get things right. But you have to look at things at face value, and Ronaldo, is the type of player that should be going to clubs and automatically improving them and players around him, because he is that good. But he's not been able to do that with Juventus, unfortunately. And for him, I think it would be difficult for him to admit that and hold his hands up and walk away from Juventus without doing what he's gone there to do. So, things probably don't look good for him within that football club right now. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he ends up when he go back to Portugal. Who knows?
It is interesting. But look, let's steer things back to Liverpool-related topics and Divock Origi for the time being, because there's two. Divock could have left on a free. I think a lot of people forget this. So we could have got nothing from him, but we signed him back on. I gather he would have gotten a signing bonus because he could have signed elsewhere. I think he's on around 60 grand a week before bonuses. Again, not 100% on that, but that's the number I've seen mentioned. But just from a perspective of his career, he is now 26 years of age, I think, 26, 27. Prime time for him, coming right into the peak of his career. There will still be clubs that are interested. We know Premier League clubs are still sniffing around. There's been talk of West Ham, maybe Brighton, a couple of other clubs interested in him. I don't know how. I genuinely don't know where this one ends up, Jack, because I don't want us to loan him out, because I think that would be just the wrong move. And I think it is time for all parties to try, if possible, to draw an amicable line under Divock Origi's time at Liverpool, thank him for what he's done, and go out there and bring somebody else in that can add to our attacking lineup, which I don't think Divock can offer us.
Yeah, I think the Origi situation is interesting. I think it's going to be one of them where it goes down to the wire late in the window when teams are looking around. They know what they need. They need a striker. And they're seeing that Origi's not really been around our squad in the last couple of weeks, and that actually they might be able to get a cut price deal. And for me, that's why I'm saying we should be looking to bring someone in, because I fully expect that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some cheeky loan bids as well from Premier League clubs as deadline day draws closer. I wouldn't be surprised if he is still with us on deadline day. Even then, I reckon there'll be bids flying about for him because, as I say, he's a decent player. I just believe we're too big for him. And that sounds awful. I've put that in a really bad way. But yeah, I think he's reached his maximum at this football club. And I think now is the right time for Divock Origi to move on. I think Liverpool should actively be looking for someone to bring in, and then to allow Origi to go. And what has been difficult this window is, as Piers told us the other day, Craig, there doesn't seem to be that much concrete interest for him, and it doesn't seem to be as if Origi wants to go as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to follow this one over the course of the next week or two.
Yeah, taking all that into account though, and moving Shaqiri on, I still can't let FSG off the hook on this one. I can't. Even if we don't manage to get Origi out the door, to me, the business we've done in this window, and I've always been consistent about saying this, call me right, call me wrong, whatever. But to me, Ibrahima Konate was last season's fuck up being fixed. That's last season's signing as far as I'm concerned. And very well fixed, I might add, a very good player. But there's just too many good players around Europe right now from clubs that are financially struggling. Are you telling me now that we couldn't whip together 50, 60 million quid to throw on the table for Barca and go, give us a go, Pedri? There's no way that couldn't be possible, that this club could not right now, when they're on their knees, say to them, well, look, you're trying to get Coutinho out the door, you're trying to get Griezmann out the door, and you're not getting many takers there, but 60 million, that's a lot of money to free up, a lot of wage to free up as well. We'll take him off your hands. That's what I think we should be doing. And I like the hope behind the scenes that's what we're doing, but I wouldn't hold my breath.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. This is the summer where every other fucker in Europe hasn't sat on their hands, but we're sat on our hands and our faces are going red because, it's one of them summers where every man and his dog seems to be available and everyone seems to be wanting to be on the move. Clubs are putting their hands in their pockets, and we seem to be the only ones going, oh, hang on, there's a pandemic going on.
Just want to address this while it's up on screen. It might sound on the outside that it's not realistic, and I hear you, and you're right. They will not want to sell Pedri. They will try and sell numerous other players beforehand. But as that window ticks closer and as they have to register their squads and as they have to keep paying wages to the likes of Antoine Griezmann, Felipe Coutinho, desperation levels rise. And even at getting rid of Messi off the wage book, they still have 95% of their turnover going out in wages when La Liga's own rules state that it has to be close to 70, even allowing for the pandemic and the loosening of those rules. So don't underestimate, mate, how desperate they are. And that's the only reason I'm saying it, because I fully agree with you. They don't want to move him on. They don't want to lose one of the greatest young prospects that have come through. Well, he wasn't at La Masia, was he? He was at Las Palmas or somewhere, that has come into their club over the past few years. But karma's a bitch. And that's why I love the idea of Liverpool doing a bit of shithousery there.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But Pedri's a phenomenal player, and Barcelona would do everything they could to keep hold of him. But at the end of the day, with their finances how they are, if they had a good enough offer, they may have to go and wave their white handkerchief. But yeah, I can't see it happening. Not this summer.
How the fuck is this still a thing? How? He's dog shit. He's 29. He's over the hill. Nobody wants the fucker. He's on over 400 grand a week. They're trying to offer him to Arsenal for Aubameyang. I don't see how this is still a thing, Jack. I don't understand how somebody that genuinely watches football can say, I want fucking Coutinho back. I don't get it. Sorry, man. I don't mean to be shouting. I'm not shouting at you, obviously, but God, that frustrates me.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I think it's people, that like to hold on to the past. It's clear that we moved on. The grass isn't always greener. We've taught him a valuable lesson. He paid part of his own transfer fee to go there. He faked injuries to go there. Why would we want him back?
We won the Champions League at Bayern.
It just makes no sense. I really don't understand. Him leaving gave us the money to go out and go better and change our direction, become a better side for it, become harder to beat for it. And I really do not understand why we'd go back there. For me, it baffles me why people would want that. And as you say, his wage is a lot higher now. He's not the player he was. He's had loads of injury problems, but not a bad back since he's gone to Barcelona, by the way.
It's interesting, that, isn't it? It's almost as if he was talking out of his fucking hoop when he said he had a bad back.
Yeah. The flight to Spain clearly fixed it, So for me, listen, Coutinho was one of my favourite players at Liverpool. I was so sad to see him go. I'm so thankful for what he did at the club. But for how he forced his way out, it's the same for me as how we treat Raheem Sterling. In fact, it's fucking worse than that. He forced his way out of this football club.
See, I can understand Sterling. I look at Raheem Sterling's situation and I go, he could see a path to a club that wanted to go and win stuff because we weren't there. But I can't accept that with Coutinho when he had Jurgen Klopp. We were on a great roll. And a manager that was clearly taking us in the right direction. I think I don't begrudge him his dream signing. I don't begrudge him at one bit, but he made his bed. The fact that he didn't work out there is nobody else's problem. And at 29 years of age, with a dodgy knee to go with his dodgy back, we don't need to be spending that amount when a Pedri, a Barella, a Gravenberch, any of those younger guys that if you take the wages Coutinho will be on, take that over the course of time, put it into a transfer fee, amortize that across 4 or 5 years, and the reasonable wage, because they're still youngsters, that to me makes far more sense. That's why I get angry about these type of things.
Absolutely. It's not an FSG deal at all. It's not a Liverpool deal. It's not a Jurgen Klopp deal. It stinks of an Arsenal or Spurs sort of signing Coutinho. So, yeah, I don't understand it myself. I don't want it to happen. It never will happen. To stop pushing for it. It's as simple as that, like you say, there's so many better options available. It makes very little sense.
This man went behind Jurgen Klopp's back and asked other senior players at the football club after he was told and committed a season to Liverpool, still went to senior pros and asked them to have a word with the manager to try and force his way out of Liverpool after entering into an agreement to keep with the season. To me, that was enough. But let's concentrate on what ifs and the positives. And the positives are there is still some time in the window. I actually didn't think we'd end up getting to this fee this quickly with Leon for Shaqiri, if I'm being honest, Jack. So if anything, I'm grateful for that because I thought Leon might play. Do you know what, mate? This all adds up to us getting a signing to me because there's no way that if we were just going to not replace Shaqiri, that Michael Edwards wouldn't have dragged this shit out for another week to get it closer to the window, to put a bit of pressure on Jean-Michel Aulas and try and force another million or two out of Leon. The fact it's being done and agreed in a timely manner from two clubs who are very difficult negotiators, Jean-Michel Aulas at Lyon and obviously Michael Edwards at Liverpool, makes me think that something is going to happen because we now have time. So that's why I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I will remind you though that we did need to get rid of a non-overseas. We did need to get rid of a non-homegrown, an overseas player. And it seemed right from the get-go that was going to be Shaqiri and Shaqiri. So, I agree with you, Craig. Don't also forget that we wanted more than 9.5 million for Shaqiri initially. So we've taken less, but we have given ourselves time, and there's no doubt on Shaqiri leaving for me. But I do think potentially we wanted him out of the way. We wanted it sorted. We didn't want to be worrying about the non-homegrown player situation close to the end of the window for both the reason you said, and also for the fact that we didn't want to have to take less in that situation. So yeah, it's interesting. I hope we bring someone in, but I don't think we will if Shaqiri is the only man to go. So I do think we will see potentially more outgoings before the end of the window, and hopefully an incoming as well.
I want to just go to Jurgen Klopp's comments around Haaland for a second as well. I mean, there's been quotes in the Echo, I think, from Conor O'Neill that says, there is, of course, a danger with such an extraordinary talent. The boy is a force of nature. When he celebrated a goal, he hit the ball on the ground, so I wasn't sure if there was a dent in the ground. Sooner or later, he'll be in discussion with large clubs. I don't know if that'll be the case next year, but then Dortmund will have to counter it. When asked about Liverpool's interest in Haaland, Klopp said, I don't have his number. He's just a very interesting player. I really like the energy he brings to the pitch, but he would generally be watched by most of the teams. That's a pretty straightforward, fair answer, to be fair. I mean, he is a talent. But what I found interesting, Jack, and I don't know if you've seen this yourself during the week, is it looks like somehow Dortmund may have negotiated a little increase in that buyout clause for next year for an extra 13 million quid on top of the 75 million euro. So an extra 14, 15 million euro on top of that. How, I don't know, unless they're splitting it with the player or something. I've no idea.
Still an absolute steal, isn't it? And every club in Europe, every top club that can afford it in Europe is going to be interested in Haaland. It's going to be who's able to pay him the most, because he's got that dodgy agent as Mino Raiola, and that's why I don't think it's possible for us to sign him, because we know the club don't like doing deals with him. But yeah, somehow Dortmund have done it. They're so good, aren't they, with young players and things like this, and making a lot of money on them. He's a dream signing. He's a player that I'm sure Klopp would love to work with. Sorry, he's a player that I'm sure FSG would love to bring to the club, but I don't think it's doable. I don't think they've got big enough pockets for it, if I'm honest.
I need your help on something. I need your help on something here, Jack. I want to gloat about Liverpool's 5-0 win over United, by the way, in the underage levels. But I want your thoughts on the hat-trick hero, because you're the guy to turn to when we talk about younger players, and you're our academy director here at Anfield Agenda. So give us a bit of an insight into this young man that bagged himself a hat-trick against United. 5-0 victory.
Yeah, so Oakley Cannoneer, the man who gave Trent the ball for corner taken quickly, obviously. Someone asked me actually in the chat the other day to name some players that I thought, were coming through. And I mentioned Oakley and said that he's worth keeping his eye on because the bits I'd seen from him before, not on LFC TV, but when I've actually been in Kirby watching him, he looks bright. He's a pacey sort of player. He likes getting in behind the defence. And he got a new contract in the summer. He was going to start more. So I had my eye on him going into the season, and now he's got 5 goals in his first 2 games of the season. A great performance against a decent Manchester United under-18 side, and this kid looks like he could go far. And he's probably not one that's going to be near the first team anywhere, in the next couple of years. But he's one certainly to keep an eye on because he's a very good talent.
Yeah, it's always good, isn't it? Because we're speaking about transfers now. We're talking about Elliott. We're talking about Musialowski. We're talking about Cade Gordon pathways through. And it is nice to remind us all, myself included, what we have coming through, which is why I'm always so appreciative of the information that you can give to us about the academy players, because it's very easy to forget that we are doing a great job on that front as well, and the work that's being done to get the likes of Musialowski and to get maybe Clark if he comes in from Newcastle, and to get younger players through the system. And let's not forget, we pinched Creevin Kelleher last minute from Villa, from right under their noses as well. So some good work being done behind the scenes about getting some of Europe and England's best talent, which could save us a fortune down the line. And as much as we don't want to admit it, that is our dream as football fans, that our club beats the odds, goes out there, wins more European Cups, wins more Premier Leagues without having to break the bank. But if needed to, add sprinkling of talent. But ideally, the academy system is the way to go. And we've seen that with a major investment, the backing that Jurgen Klopp got in that marvellous facility in Kirby.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that, Craig. A lot of people don't really know, especially opposition fans, just how important to us the academy is. This is how we want to be run as a football club. We put a lot of our faith in young players. We've seen that not many clubs have done what we have over the last few years, where Klopp has literally said to our academy manager at the time to go and literally play the kids in cup competitions. It's happened more than once at this football club. The role of Alex Inglethorpe, who sits there and bridges the gap between the academy and the first team so brilliantly. The way we managed to bring in players like Cade Gordon, who was a star for Derby. We've bought him in, for a very low price when they were obviously struggling with financial difficulties. Musialowski too. We've got that very, very young lad as well, he's tipped to be the next Messi. That you've probably seen videos on YouTube of him. I think he's like 8, and I can't remember where he's from, but there's videos all over YouTube of his dribbling, and he's a Barcelona fan, and he's on Instagram doing these tricks and skills and stuff as well. We've got him early at this club as well. So our academy system is outstanding. You spoke about that fantastic newest facility at Kirby as well, which just makes it so much easier for Klopp to be able to watch them more often. And I'd recommend any Liverpool fan that lives closer enough to Liverpool to go to the academy and watch games as much as possible to do so, because you get a fantastic insight into the future of this football club. And we have so many brilliant young players at this club, and it's good when they come through, like we've seen Elliott this season, like we've seen Cade Gordon in pre-season, Cometio as well, who's coming through soon. Cannoneer maybe one in the future. Leighton Stewart is one who will make it too. Hopefully, if he can sort himself out with them.
Conor Bradley, looks like he's right on the cusp as well.
Owen Beck. Obviously, I know we bought him in, but Pitaluga as well will probably be one that gets near there in the future too. So loads of things to be excited about with our academy, Greg.
On this one, so they say next summer's the big summer, but give out a few contract extensions and that's it. Yeah, this is, I suppose, the dichotomy that we're in. This is the headache we have as Liverpool fans, because look, I can't in good conscience sit here and say I'm not over the moon that Van Dijk, that Trent, that it looks like Hendo, that Fabinho, that Crevin Kelleher, that Elia have all got new contracts. I can't. It would be very, very unfair of me on everyone involved to sit here and say that that wasn't brilliant news, and also say that that doesn't cost money, because it does cost a lot of money to give these guys bonuses and improved contracts. But I do understand the frustration of next summer, because we do hear it a lot, whether it be directly or indirectly briefed to certain parts of the media. And next summer be fine. Next summer we may be in a better place financially, but this summer is the one when the bargains are available. This summer is the one where clubs are on their knees financially. And this summer is the ones when our rivals have gone out there and strengthened. So I don't want to give people a chance, mate, to get themselves into a better position than us next summer. That's why I keep saying this was the summer for me that I'd hoped and wanted. That generational talent, which phrase does my head in, because it keeps being said that we've been safe and we've been cutting our cloth accordingly in case one becomes available. This is the summer. The next superstar in world football, apart from Haaland, is probably available right now, or at least you can line up a deal for next year and agree it now. And yet we're still sitting on our hands, it seems. And I have to keep saying that because we don't know for a fact.
Yeah, it's like one of them piggy banks you buy that's like impossible to get into to try and encourage you to save money. But we filled it. We're trying to smash it, but by the time we've broken into it, it's too late, and it'll be next summer before we can actually spend what's in there. And I think for me, the frustrating thing is, like you said, Craig, we hear that time and time again, that next summer thing, next summer, and that it seems as though we are the only club in England that is protecting ourselves and our finances after the COVID thing, and we seem to be the only one using it as an excuse. And other teams are going, look, we're seeing clubs across Europe struggling with it, so we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to sign this player, that player. We're going to get a buy in here. We're going to spend a bit more money there, but he's available and he may never be available in the future. So we're going to have to do it this window. But we seem to be the ones that are sat on our hands doing absolutely jack shit once again. And like I say, it won't be next year. It won't be this year where we're impacted by it. It won't be the next. It won't be the one after it. It'll be years after that. And that's when we'll lose Jurgen Klopp as well. And things will be very, very difficult for us. So, quite simply, Craig, as I say, I'm positive. I'm happy with the majority of things at Liverpool Football Club right now. But when it comes to investment, FSG really need to pull their finger out their arse. They really do.
Here's where I am. I've thought about this long and hard, and I've tried to put it in a way that I can make it as fair as possible. This is why I'm more frustrated this window than most other windows, because lots of clubs have an excuse for the pandemic. Lots of clubs haven't, have had to take out bank loans or have had to extend their credit. Liverpool's owners sold 10% of their overall holdings for £536 million. Now, they are entirely free to do with that as they please, but we were told that a couple of things. One, it will be used to help patch over the finances that were lost during the pandemic. But secondly, and in the longer term project, it's to go and buy another club, or to go and have a feeder club in Europe or a sister club in Europe. And to do that, that's brilliant. I'd be very happy for Liverpool to go out there and have a sister club in France or Germany where we can send players to go and improve. But like in any of these systems, what you need to do is front load. So what Abramovich did when he came in at Chelsea was he front loaded, he spent a lot of money, and then seen the fruits of the labour. Because even with the best of intentions, by the time we get this sister club bought or the next club bought, by the time we loan these players, be they Musialowski's or whoever out, we're probably going to be in a time, Jack, where we don't have Jurgen Klopp to reap the benefits of it. So great that it's all being put in place. Love the long-term vision. But let's not waste a generational manager right now by not giving Klopp the tools to go out there and outmanage Pep and outmanage Ollie and outmanage any other manager. That's where I become really frustrated, because I see the vision. I buy into the vision, but you need to front load it if you're going to plan for the long term.
If you give Jurgen Klopp half the budget that Solskjaer's had, half the budget that Tuchel's had, half the budget that Lampard had, obviously last summer at Chelsea, half the budget that Pep Guardiola's had, he will deliver the title or the Champions League every single season, because he is that good of a manager. And you can't waste that. You really can't. We don't know what's going to happen when Klopp leaves. We don't know who will get in. But I tell you now, no disrespect to whoever replaces Jurgen Klopp, but they won't be half as good a manager as Jurgen Klopp is. And we may be wasting the best years of this football club in recent times by not investing. And I really don't understand the reasons behind it. We've seen in the last few years we've earned so much money through TV rights, so much money through winning the league, the Champions League, the Club World Cup, the Super Cup. But where's the investment in? And like I said, us as Liverpool fans, we don't want loads. We don't necessarily force the club to go out and sign, marquee players all the time, like you get from City fans and United fans and people like that who want, their clubs to spend all their oil money, particularly in the likes of Manchester City and Chelsea's case. We just want some kind of investment to help us improve year on year. Otherwise, we know that we may fall behind because we've seen it happen before. I talk about when I was, much younger and back in my high school days when, I watched Liverpool struggle and, we'd struggle to make the top four year on year. But now we've managed to work our way up.
You're not getting any sympathy from me about the hard years, you fucker. You don't you get a lot of it from me, Jack, but you're not getting any sympathy about suffering through the hard years, mate.
No. But I mean, we've worked ourselves back up. We've done everything right, Ray. We've done absolutely fucking everything perfectly by the book. And FSG earned themselves so many fans from Liverpool supporters because they did absolutely everything the right way. But then in the last couple of years, they've just let themselves down slightly, and now we're really, really, really in danger of falling behind. And listen, I'm not an FSG hater. I'm not anti-FSG, but also I'm not on their side because they are making too many mistakes in these last couple of years. And for me, it's such a simple fix. It just needs a bit more investment. Just back your man because he's fucking brilliant.
He's pretty good, isn't he? He's not too bad.
Yeah.
I don't like him after the laser eye surgery. I mean, he should get glasses even if he doesn't need them. Those ones you buy in the pound shop that have just clear lenses in them or something. He should get them.
Just get him to go to an IMAX cinema and get 3D glasses and just wear them about.
Yeah, Kanye West style ones. Remember from that video? Yeah. Something like that would work as well for Klopp. Yeah. Really good question here. Should we get Harvey Barnes? Now, look, has he signed or is about to sign? I think he has signed, hasn't he? The new agreement with Leicester City.
Yeah, it's announced, but it's done. It's like the Henderson deal is.
I tried to push James Pearce on this the other day when we were speaking to him actually specifically on Harvey Barnes. And again, the problem is what we've always spoken about. If you go to Leicester or a club that deems you as an actual rival, so it's well and good maybe buying from the bottom half of the division. But if you're looking at a club like Leicester who have Champions League ambitions themselves, who are trying to tie Tielemans and Harvey Barnes down to new contracts, who've shown intent by going out there and bringing in Patson Daka and doing what they've done over the past few years, winning the Charity Shield, the FA Cup, they're not going to want to entertain it for anything less than money that would probably be 2 or 3 times what we would get an equivalent player from abroad. So the only real bonus is that he's falling under the homegrown talent. So yes and no at the same time. I don't think it will happen, as James Pearce said, because of just the sheer finances involved with dealing with Leicester. But I don't think we can finish up this chat without touching on yesterday, Jack, and another impressive victory. And I want to just say as well, the second goal, it has everything. Van Dijk to young Harvey Elliott, chests it down, shoulders it into Trent. Trent round the corner, Sadio Mane, bang. Mate, I'm not going to lie, I nearly reached for the tissues.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a moment, Craig. It's all kicking off in France. My brother's just sent me a couple of tweets, actually. Between
here we go. I'm going to sit back because when the French kick off, they fucking kick off. Go on.
Yeah, between Nice and Marseille, someone in the crowd, obviously a Nice fan, threw a bottle that hit Payet when he was taking a corner.
Now, these are huge rivals, by the way, folks. Let's just point this out. This is a huge rivalry in France, Nice and Marseille. Yeah. Go on.
He's picked the bottle up and thrown it back in the crowd. And now there are a few hundred Nice fans on the pitch. It seems to be kicking off quite a lot there. So yeah, I don't know what's happening, but yeah, to go back to Liverpool, Craig. Fantastic things that we've seen from the first couple of games. It's so good to see Van Dijk playing for us again. Do not underestimate his role in this Liverpool side. He's not just a defender. He is so much more. He is pivotal. You see that for the second goal. The build-up play is outstanding. But not only that, the offside Salah goal, I think it was very similar in its build-up. Some delicious stuff there too. And that's what I mean. There's so much positive things to be positive about with this Liverpool side at the moment. And you just think if we got one more player through the door, us Liverpool fans would be so happy going into this season, so confident. And the season ahead would be, I would almost guarantee that we come away from it with at least one trophy. But I do have that worry that our depth isn't quite strong enough in the odd position, and we're a moment of bad luck away from being in a difficult position like we were last season.
Which is entirely avoidable again. If we get Doku, I'd be happy at this point, said Name and Pantham, but I want this generational talent. Well, he could be that player, to be fair, Doku. I understand and appreciate where he comes from in this scenario, because he backed himself at 16 to continue at Anderlecht and prove and improve, and that Liverpool continue to track him. And, there's been loads of positive stuff to say that he does love the idea of coming to Liverpool. He's very open to it. His representatives are, but he seems to feel he needs another year. Now, my question, I suppose, Jack, is if we know that we have Jeremy Doku lined up for next year, if it's, let's say it's agreed behind the scenes, would we be better bringing him in, acclimatise him to the Premier League, but knowing that he'll only get 10 to 15 starts perhaps, or leaving him at Ron, allowing him to continue developing where he's clearly enjoying playing football, and giving him a whole season playing every single game and then bringing him in early pre-season? This is the dilemma that I have with the Doku situation.
Well, we know that Klopp likes giving players time to acclimatise to Premier League football. So for me, if it's going to happen, well, why wait till next summer? Makes no sense. But obviously, yeah, it may be that we have to wait till next summer. Obviously, we've got Mbappe coming in on a free next summer as well, guys. Don't forget that too. So yeah,
along with Choo Bellingham.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Bellingham coming in as well. It's going to be a busy summer next year, Craig, if all these are coming in, isn't it? Saul as well. That won't go away. That might happen next summer. So yeah, it seems to be the next summer's going to be an incredibly busy one. So I hope you haven't booked a holiday.
Next summer? No, I never go away this summer, mate. Far too expensive. I'm far too cute for that. My life revolves around international transfer window. So, for instance, the September one, I'm off to Leeds. The October one, we're going to Spain for a week as a family. People often wonder where I go away in October time. One, it's because it's a bit cheaper, but two, it's also because international breaks. And when you're in this industry, your life and your family's life, unfortunately, have to revolve. Well, for me, it's not unfortunate. For them, it is around the football window, the football calendar. So I don't know if I've let the cat out of the bag there, if anybody's listening in the house. But yeah, that's why. I always told them, Jack, Florida's so much nicer in October. If you go in the summer, you get the thunderstorms and the rain, and it's very humid. But if you go in October, it's much nicer. No rain, and they always thought that was the reason.
It explains the albino look you're rocking, Craig, and
mate, I haven't seen a drop of sun this summer. Even when we had the heat wave, I was in the bed, mate. I won't lie, I was fast asleep. I mean, I'm the type of lad, mate, where if there was a job in the bed, I'd sleep on the floor. Do you know what I mean? Bare minimum type of scenario for me. So I might seem like I grind this stuff out, and people do say to me I do a lot of content, but Jesus, this never feels like work to me. I've had real jobs. Do you know what I mean? I've been on building sites. I've worked real work and didn't like it very much. So I'm all in for this. I'm all in for making this a career, because this is far better to get paid or to sit back and watch football and talk with your mates. Perfect.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the weather in Ireland, Craig, but it's meant to be nice in England this week. So you'll have to get yourself outside doing your streams this week. It's to work on that suntan.
We'll be over in Leeds anyway from the 3rd to the 5th for the Katie Taylor fight and the Josh Warrington Lara fight, which is going to be class. And yeah, loads of stuff coming up. Is there anything else filling in? this week, what's going ahead. You're going to be covering my ass late September for the watch along of the Bournemouth game, the Brentford game when we're away at Brentford. So yeah, look, I want to just wind up tonight, and I suppose we'll answer a few more questions if you want to throw them in the chat, but we'll start to wind it down a bit. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Manscaped. Go over to manscaped.com, use the code WFM20 to get yourselves a discount of absolutely anything over there. Doesn't matter whether it's on sale or not. I would highly recommend the Performance Package 4.0, which I think is great value, which includes the boxers and everything, and the ear and nose hair trimmer, all the stuff you've heard me talk about before. But also, I just want to say thank you to Jack, because this has been a particularly hectic week for the young man. And, you know, he's got himself a new job that he's lined up down the line, which, you know, won't impact you seeing him on here, but will make his life that bit harder. And I just want to say thanks. You played a blinder this week, mate. I don't think there's been a day you haven't been on. And it's been great fun for me as well, because I love these chats. I think they're great fun.
Yeah, mate, it's brilliant. It's been nice to keep me busy, actually, this week and stop me from, you know, having to use Manscaped more frequently because I have nothing else to do. Nice little plug there. But yeah, it's good, Craig. I always enjoy these chats.
Don't forget, you can use it in the bath as well, Jack. It is waterproof.
Well, there we go. So
if you like to sit in the bath in the dark, it has an LED light, mate, a 4000K LED light. If you want to put the candles on in the bath and be a bit romantic about it, it's up to you.
Well, there you go. You know, it's better than taking a toaster into the bath, isn't it? So, yeah, you know, if it's waterproof and you can use it in the dark, you just take my money, Manscaped. Take it now.
There you go. You love to see it. Look, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end today. Thank you. It's been a really fun stream. What's going on tomorrow? I'm going to be doing an early late night agenda tomorrow because I'm on That's Football covering the West Ham game against Leicester, which shaping up to be a belter. But then all roads, Jack, lead to next Saturday, 5:30, the first major test of the season, and I'm expecting Anfield to be absolutely rocking, mate. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to sit back and watch this.
Yeah, it's going to be outstanding, isn't it? The first big game at Anfield with a full crowd. And, you know, I think the 12th man could really make the difference against Chelsea. It's going to be a tough task. We know Chelsea are a very, very good side under Thomas Tuchel. They've got the one thing they were missing in Romelu Lukaku. But we're going to be up for it. And, you know, I'm confident going into that game, Craig. I really, really am.
I love it. I love a bit of confidence. Surely you're not going to give... I want to ask you for your score prediction yet, but God, surely you're not going to go for a 6-0 this week, Jack. Surely it's got to be a little bit more realistic.
I think 6-0 is realistic, to be honest with you. So, yes, I probably will be going with 6-0 again, Craig.
You love to see it, Jack. You love to see it. Look, ladies and gentlemen, hit the subscribe button. Drop a like on the video. If you're watching this back later on, let me know your thoughts on anything that Jack and I have spoken about. It is always a pleasure for Jack and I to come on here and speak with you guys and have a bit of fun. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Take care. WFM20 for that discount. And yeah, your balls will thank you later. Adios.